Welcome to the Next Exchange interview, where I'm joined by Andy Hasoon, who is chairman at Milamber Ventures. Andy, I understand that you are somebody who raises money for small companies. Wherever I go, I'm meeting startups who are looking to raise funding. How do you do it?
So we have created a smorgasbord, I think is the best way, of sorting out funding solutions. So the first is that we're a PLC listed on the Next Stock Exchange. We chose Next for really three reasons. One, the costs of running a company on Next are 4 times less than that of AIM. B, the investors that are investing in Next have a long-term view rather than a short-term flip. And thirdly, it's a highly collaborative organization and works with companies, especially at the smaller end of the market, to really help them through their growth journey. So we have a number of ways where people can invest in the PLC, and the PLC then invests in the portfolio companies that we're supporting. That can be, you can buy shares through your stockbroker. You can actually buy shares very tax effectively through your SIP, your self-invest and pension program. And you can come to us directly for larger quantums because we have the ability to place shares, and therefore we bring investment into the PLC through what's called a placing. So that's route number one. We've also then launched a SEIS EIS fund. It's focused on investing in education and technology. It's called the Milamber Education Technology Fund. Keep it simple. We've done that in partnership with Invitech, and it goes live on the 1st of September. So if you're an SEIS or an EIS investor, a high net worth individual or a sophisticated investor, you can actually invest in the fund, and the fund will then invest on a portfolio of companies that we are working with in a very hands-on way. What we actually do is focus on business development first and funding second. Call us old-fashioned, we like sales, we like strategic partnerships, we like customers to pay for the development of the companies that we're working with to help them through their growth journey. So, for example, over the last 12 months, we've been working with an AI market research company. We helped them get a grant. We've just helped them secure $500,000 of funding. And now they're spending the next 12 months building that platform, bringing on customers and testing the product with those customers.
Right. I mean, it may not look as though I've interviewed you before, but what I've learned from the first interview is that the difference between what you do and maybe what others do is that lots of startups out there, and they sort of put forward their business plan or their pitch deck, and they think that that's it. They're going to be the next Facebook or Snap or whatever it is. But the issue is that most of them are not dressed for the occasion. They're not the structure of the company. The whole setup is not what would be investable even at an early stage.
Correct. So we start by getting under the bonnet of the business. Companies fail for 3 reasons. They have the wrong product for the market, they have the wrong capital structure, and the wrong people. So we look at those 3 issues first. And then, of course, the most important thing is once you've built that product, you've got to have go-to-market capabilities, distribution, sales, customers. So we actually start with the customer in mind, work out what it is that the company is providing as a value proposition to that customer, how it's going to be packaged, how it's going to be sold, and then from that we work backwards to then help them put in place the right product strategy, funding strategy, and people strategy.
But that getting dressed for success, I mean, that's not something I've heard anywhere. There's nobody who really out there who actually provides that service of getting you. It's a bit like people applying for a job. You're wearing the right suit, the CV looks good. What you say in the interview, you're practicing and everything else. I mean, it's equivalent to that, isn't it?
It's absolutely that. I mean, if we take MBA programs are really helpful for when you go and work in the city on high finance roles, but they don't actually help you learn entrepreneurship skills. So I was working with a venture capitalist once, and they sent a brilliant business plan to us, and we sat down with the team and we said, so have you set up a company? No. Have you set up the accounting system? No. Have you set up the Salesforce system to actually build a database of relationship conversations and track them? No. Have you got insurance? No. So all the elements that one has as an entrepreneur to manage a business, to build a business, we don't teach. And that's part of what we're trying to change in the industry, is that we need to chaperone these companies through their growth. They have different problems at different points within their growth cycle, and those problems are the same for most companies, but they just don't know how to tackle them, deal with them, and put in place the solutions to make them better.
Isn't that one of those things that when you say you set up a company, or you go to a bank, go to a bank and set up a bank account, then that's all there. But they're two separate things, and there should be really a package for somebody, an entrepreneurial package that you buy, where you have the company, you have all those other aspects included in that package, so that then there's nothing missing.
Yeah, unfortunately, in the US it's starting to happen. You find places like Boston have got a great growth accelerator, incubator, gestation ecosystem of companies that support them through that growth. We've got a partner who actually has 125 different ways to fund an SME. So what you actually find, it's a bit like education. You want to personalize the education to yourself so that you get the right solution for your specific learning needs. The same is true of a business. You might have different go-to-market strategies. It might be a direct sales model. It might be a reseller model. It might be a hybrid of both. But until you've decided what it is that you're going to do to secure that capability, you won't actually know what it is that you need to fund the company to actually meet those requirements. So we spend a lot of time trying to work out what are those bits that need to be put together to create the jigsaw that actually then unlocks the talent, the capabilities, and the value that company is going to create.
Well, you're a business as well. How do you get new business, and how do you make money?
So we have a philosophy of attracting versus chasing. We're in a very fortunate position that because of the quality of work that we do, a lot of people approach us from family offices, from recommendations from Next and the Social Stock Exchange, from universities as well. So we get to see best of breed businesses, and the reason for that is because we focus on business development first and funding second. These organizations help raise money for these companies, and they realize that the first problem those companies have got to solve is how do they get sales? How do they scale? How do they actually get up the growth chain? And that's why we get to see some of the better companies in this country. And we also have capabilities in America. So what we often do with companies is put in place partnerships with the big publishers and the big organizations in America as strategic partnerships to help through that growth journey. Because if you can go and do a deal with a Pearson, we did this with one of our portfolio companies, we got them a $2.7 million deal with Pearson for 5 years. That gives them an anchor tenant customer relationship. Now the venture capitalists, the family offices are much more comfortable investing because they've proved that a big organization is going to use that product and help them generate revenues.
So you're taking people the whole way, really?
Yes. So we start with early stage. We quite often deal with companies in the $1 million to $2 million sort of growth sector, and we're very good at getting them up to 10 to 20 million, and at that point we hand them over to the professionals, because usually by then you're bringing in senior management who've got experience, and the company can actually afford the salaries to be able to pay the expertise to take the company to the next level.
Sort of Moses type figure.
Well, it's like everything. When you're recruiting talent, you can basically go for the best people that you can afford at that time. And the better you are at talking, the stronger you are at getting people on board and buying into the vision. People buy into the vision and the mission of the company. It always becomes much easier to create a core of acolytes, ambassadors, or as we would say in the American market, these mega churches. You're actually starting to create a whole philosophy around what you're doing, and people really buy into it and help that growth.
That's it for the Next Exchange interview today. Thank you to Andy Hasoon as chairman at Milamber Ventures.